Hey, good cat people, what is going on? Yo, pal, Lee here. Lee Sanders, 401mania.com reporter and columnist. Here we are for Sunday, November 27th, 2022. We are covering WoW Women of Wrestling Fallout from this weekend, as it was episode 11. Hey, how you guys doing? I told you guys we were definitely going to be dropping this for you guys. So I hope you find this well and you enjoy, my pretty babies. Now, look, we're going to do a little bit of a one-time mix because if you guys recall, last week I sadly was not able to tackle episode 10 of WoW Women of Wrestling. And in case some of you guys had missed it, maybe you just exclusively check out this particular series, you don't check out the other shows. Last weekend, I was really under the weather. Voice was just, it wasn't there. Let me be honest with you guys. It was not there whatsoever. But yeah, that's why we weren't able to do it last weekend. So I gotta, in order to talk about episode 11, I definitely need to pay homage and recognize some of the stuff that had went down on last weekend's episode and everything. But we got a nice, well-rounded episode for you guys when it's all said and done. It's kind of funny too, because right before I came in here in the studio, my wife, I literally was just talking to her and she goes, "God damn, you're just now getting ready to do the show?" I said, "Yeah, I was just working on some graphics and everything." But this particular series I do is usually about 45 minutes, so not that long at all. And she goes, and I'm like, no, really, this is a short series. It really is. Out of all the shows I do weekly, this is like one of my favorites because I'm usually in and out and everything. And she's like, like, okay, well, look, I'll see you in about 40 minutes. So we'll see if I'm able to do 40 minutes or under and everything. But hope you guys have had a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend so far. By the way, I'm mentioning this up front before we begin. In case you missed it, I have a poll up on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab and you'll find the poll. I'm asking you guys, when would you all like the 11th anniversary show? Because this month marks 11 years that we have been doing this show, the RCWR show. So I need help from you guys in figuring out what would be the best day and time to do the 11th anniversary show. So you guys have some options. So the way I did it, I tried to set the poll up in a way with the options where, okay, when are most of you going to be around that can actually tune in live, represent and everything? So that's how you guys, when you see the options, try to vote that way. Obviously, vote on what you feel best. You know what? This suits my schedule. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do that. And look, before anybody hits me up going the whole, hey man, whatever works for you. No. Like, I know what would work best for me, but this is our show. I mean, we're talking about the 11th anniversary show. So I really want to try to have as many people pop up as possible live just to say hello and, you know, chew the fat, all that good stuff. So find that, cast your vote. It was posted just a couple of hours ago at the time that we're doing this live recording right now. So go in there and have at it. So look, let's rewind it back. We're going to definitely talk about episode 11 of Wild Women of Wrestling, but just quick general thoughts. I don't want to do a full-blown recap and review from last week's episode, but just some quick thoughts here from last week's episode, which was a really great card, I gotta say. I enjoyed seeing Randy Rara, Chantilly Cella, and Coach Campanelli in action against the Heavy Metal Sisters, Razor, Mesmeriah, and Fury. By the way, to open up Wild Women of Wrestling, I love that we had a Coach Campanelli tip, and we're seeing Kandi Krush, who's just punching away at the freaking bag, and Coach Campanelli is blowing the whistle and basically trying to give the proper etiquette and how Kandi Krush needs to be punching the bag. And Kandi Krush is just looking on like, well, first of all, where the hell did you come from? Second of all, why are you all up in my business? Third, don't you got something better to do? That is just the wide range of facial expression that Kandi Krush had when she was looking at Coach Campanelli. And then you just went right into the Wild opener. I just got a hoot out of that. Seriously, I just found that to be so freaking funny. And that needs to be a recurring theme from here on now from Coach Campanelli. I thoroughly had enjoyed that. But great triple threat tag team action to open up that episode of Wild Women of Wrestling. I loved everything going on with all of the girls here in this one. No complaints about this one whatsoever. The Heavy Metal Sisters, they are continuing to find their stride, particularly Fury. This go round, there seems to be more and more emphasis on Fury potentially being that big breakout star and everything for a while, liking that. But nice good action as the Heavy Metal Sisters had picked up the victory there. Adriana Gambino had went up against Steffi Slays. That was actually good. I gotta say, that was actually good. I was actually watching this episode and the weekend's episode that dropped, Saturday and Sunday, depending on where you live. You can also check out Wild Women of Wrestling on your local CW affiliate on Sundays as well. But Adriana Gambino, I was showing her to my wife, and I said, look, you gotta peep this girl out. This girl is not only tall, like, she's got some long legs, and she's like, yeah, she does have some long legs. It's like, yeah, she's got some height to her. It's like, but she is so agile, right? She's got a very, very versatile type of offset. Like, you're gonna dig this chick. And one of the things that I've enjoyed a lot about seeing these new up-and-comer women on the Wild roster has been seeing them find their persona with this in-ring character that they're tapping into and everything, seeing them flush it out even more. And one thing I remember I was pointing out as we were watching this episode, I said, not all the girls, and I said this even going into this weekend's episode that dropped, I said, not all the new women that's part of the Wild roster does a really good job in showboating, whether they are a babyface, a heel, or a tweener. Most of them don't really do that good of enough job, I personally feel, in interacting with the crowd, trying to really get them involved, get them into it with the theatrics, antics that they're doing in the ring and everything. And Adriana Gambino, she is definitely one of those rare exceptions to that, where, she's coming in there and she's just, hey, what's going on here? You think you're going to be able to beat my ass? Come on. You got another thing coming, Paison, right? I just love the way she is just beating the crap out of her opponents. Not just talking mad trash to them, but it's also just multiple times stretching out with the leg splits. The leg splits that go into sometimes a neck chokehold, right, at the end of her boot and everything. And she's just mocking the crowd. Hey, you like that? Hey, I love it. I love Adriana Gambino, man. Adriana Gambino taking on Steffi Slays. Steffi Slays picking up a victory right here. Now, you know what was kind of odd? Now, full disclosure, I did not check out this episode through my usual outlet. If you recall, the past couple of weeks now, I have been promoting the US TV Now site. It's a legit site. You know, you can pretty much pay for that, and you can access your wrestling fix that way and everything, especially if you're trying to catch up on episodes of Wild Women of Wrestling. Depending on the tier package that you select, you even have an option where if you're not going to be around at said time, there's a DVR cloud function, so that show will be waiting for you whenever you get done doing what you need to do. Just depends on the tier package that you select and everything. So this last week's Wow Women of Wrestling episode, I actually had ended up watching on the YouTube channel. And as you guys recall, I've been telling you how Wow Women of Wrestling been rolling out their full-length episodes. And this was actually my first time seeing a supposed full-length episode. It really wasn't a full-length episode, at least not last week's episode that I watched on their YouTube channel, because we were missing those little intimate stories that was going on in between, locker room antics, or maybe there was a featurette done on a particular wrestler, little stuff like that. You just pretty much got nothing but the full-length matches in its entirety as it aired, and that's pretty much it. Probably the one new thing that kind of seemed cool was they had a segment that was spliced in on YouTube. I think it was called Corners Heat, and they had Steffi Slays appear on there, and I had to take an important phone call during that time, so I didn't quite catch, because it lasted about maybe 30 seconds. That was it. So, but it kind of gave me the impression that it really wasn't anything that was further developing a story arc or anything like that. But yeah, for what it's worth, Steffi Slays defeating Adriana Gambino. You know what? One of the rare times that Steffi Slays is able to pick up a win in singles action, because as many of you guys recall, it was a couple of seasons ago on Wild Women of Wrestling where we had saw for 11 consecutive matches, Steffi Slays was losing match after match after match after match after match, right? So, you know, kind of interesting there that we had Steffi Slays and what appears to be a case where maybe the team of her and Keita Rush as the Bully Busters is maybe on hold for now, or whatever's going on there. We still need to get a definitive what exactly does the future hold for Steffi Slays and Keita Rush, because we never really got that. Now, again, you go back to 2 weeks ago, Keita Rush did say to Steffi Slays, hey, we still girls, we still gonna be hanging out and all that. Hey, you know, we're still friends. What are you tripping over? We still gonna be doing our thing. We still gonna be tag teaming. What's causing all this? Right? That's pretty much Keita Rush's whole thing and everything. Foxy Fierce from Washington D.C. went up against Penelope Pink. These two girls, the showboating, the showmanship, the antics, how they were interacting with the crowd. Full display here. Two of the absolute best at what they do and working the crowd. Seriously, I enjoyed, out of last week's episode, I enjoyed this match, besides the main event match, but minus a few points for the main event match because there was interference in there. So, really have to go to this one. Foxy Fierce taking on Penelope Pink. Good shit right here, of course. The lovely, the blondish Lana Starr running her little shenanigans at ringside, helping her client Penelope Pink picking up the victory here. But probably the strongest match out of episode 10 of Women of Wrestling, I personally would say. And Penelope Pink, she is continuing to win me over, man, big time. She is continuing to win me over week after week. I continue to be quite impressed with her work. She seems to be the most standout. She really does. You know, not to mention, look, for what it's worth, Foxy Fierce, she's definitely coming along. Gambino's coming along. Commander Spars, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit because she was in action on this newest episode of WoW. She is definitely coming along. Miami Sweet Heat, they're finding their stride. Personality-wise, still needs to be flushed out a little bit more, a lot more, actually. I can tell they're still a little bit intimidated when it comes to speaking on the microphone and everything. They still kind of have butterflies or whatnot. I think that'll improve in due time. The main event match from episode 10, which had saw the Tonga Twins taking on Sweet Miami Heat. Shout out to AJ Lee, by the way, because we finally had got a heads up from AJ how you're able to tell the Tonga Twins apart. And I'm going, because I was looking the whole time. I was like, I can't. And it was funny because this was my first time having WoW on where the Tonga Twins were in action and Wifey just happens to be there. And I was telling her, man, I cannot tell these two apart for the love of me. And she goes, oh, well, I can easily tell. You were to tell me their names, I can tell you who's who, no doubt. I'm like, say what? She's like, yeah, I can tell them apart very easily. And I just kind of looked at that and I went, like, you're killing me. But leave it to AJ Lee, because AJ Lee basically had said, look, this is how you tell them apart. One has a distinct tattoo on their left forearm and the other one doesn't. So you're like, oh, okay. And so from then on, I'm paying attention. I'm looking for that left forearm, trying to see who's who. And sure enough, to AJ Lee's point, AJ Brooks, to her point, that did help. So AJ, shout out for that. You definitely got to make sure you continue to plug that on future shows. This was a great competitive tag match. Ever since we first heard that it was going to be twins versus twins on episode 10, I was going, yo, this is going to be the shit. And remember, this was the tag team titles tournament finals. So we were supposed to get crowned new WoW Women's Tag Champions. And sadly, we did not see the proper conclusion because Chainsaw, Holidead interfered in this, which made the referee throw the match out. And we ended on such a cliffhanger where, wait a minute, we don't have a definitive winner. How are we going to clear the air on this one? What the hell? But that's how episode 10 had ended. So now we go into this weekend's Women of WoW episode that dropped. And we got our answer to how all of that was going to be solved, as it was a triple threat tag team match that saw the Tonga Twins taking on Miami Sweet Heat versus Chainsaw and Holidead. And David McLean's justification for making this match, particularly putting Chainsaw and Holidead in there, was quite simple. For David McLean, it's, hey, not for nothing, but Holidead and Chainsaw, they have been a pretty dominant tag team since they've begun pairing from what we've seen over these past several weeks. And, it is kind of a little bit unfortunate that they really didn't properly get their fair chance to really shine and go into the tournament, potentially go deep into the tournament. They're making a claim that they're here, and Holiday, definitely a veteran of the WoW roster and everything. Basically, in David McLean's mind, he had to toss them a bone. Like, you hear the explanation, but you're going, yeah, but, nah, you can miss me with that. It really needs to be about twins versus twins. Come on now. More on that main event match in a hot little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go there now. Let's go there now, because we got a nice little flow that's going on and everything. So Tonga Twins taking on Miami Sweet Heat, taking on Chainsaw, Holidead. Now, this match ended with a little bit of shenanigans going on. So we just told you what had went down with episode 10 and the way that ended. Well, now we had some more shenanigans go down here, and it came in the form of Kandi Krush, who was belligerent. I mean, she just went up to the dome, to the body of Chainsaw. She was just pounding her with her fists. outside of the ring. And I was quite surprised that the referee did not call for the bell. I'm quite surprised he didn't just go on ahead and throw the match out and everything, because I was paying close attention to David McLean, Steve Dickey, and AJ saying whether or not, hey, you know, there has to be a winner. The only way this is going to go down, it's got to be a pinfall, it's got to be a submission. Don't have to worry about any interference here, because even if it does go down, we have to have a definitive winner. We didn't hear any of that from them. So this was just basically, hey, first team to score the pinfall or the submission picks up the win. That was it. And I say that because the referee, clear as day, he sees Kandi Krush interfering. Clear as day. He fucking sees her going to the dome of Chainsaw, and you're like, what the hell here? So in order to understand why Kandi Krush had did what she did, you got to rewind it back, okay? Because earlier in the night, they had showed Kandi Krush still pretty upset, heartbroken over the fact that the gloves that her grandmother had gave her, you know, they're missing. Nobody has returned them yet. And we see her go on this wild chase trying to find out if anybody knows anything, any type of information whatsoever that could potentially reunite her with those gloves. And we even see, as a peace offering, Kandi Krush stop by and say, look, I know how much those gloves meant to you. I can only fathom the idea. I can only imagine what those gloves meant to you and everything. And I know I let you down because you have bestowed upon me the safety, the well-being of those gloves, that they were in a safe place. And I let you down, and I apologize for that. But to make it up to you, I got you a little bit of a peace offering. And what she got was pretty nice. She had got Kandi Krush a pair of new golden gloves. And Krush was not having it. She wasn't being a dick, but she stayed firm. And she said, look, I appreciate the gesture. Really, I do. And she started tearing up and everything. But she goes, this does not replace the gloves that my grandmother gave her. If anything, this just reminds me even more of what I lost. So thanks, but no thanks. And you can keep your apologies, because that's not cool either. So you got all this going on, and you kind of respect where Kandi Krush is coming from, because Kandi Krush, she's trying to, right? Obviously, she feels bad. And at the same time, not for nothing, they've got a tag match that they need to prepare for. So you're seeing all of this go about, and as you're watching this in real time, if your thought is exactly as mine, yo, if Kandi Krush is tripping that hard, there's no way Homegirl's really going to be able to focus going into this tag match that they're going to have next. Well, you are right. Next match, BK Rhythm and Glitch the Gamer. They had teamed up. This was their first time teaming up. Now, rewind it back. If you've been checking out the WoW recaps that I've been doing, I mentioned a long time ago, several episodes ago, yo, BK Rhythm, and I just blanked on the name there, BK Rhythm and Glitch the Gamer. You gotta have them team up. They kind of seem as though they would be within each other's circles. How can they not? I mean, it just makes all the sense in the world here. And I remember I gave some really fun analogy about, hey, as far as getting them together. If you guys remember, shout out if you do. But it's fun to go back, check out the archives, and just, damn, Lee, that's kind of creepy. That's very creepy. That, are you getting advanced copies of the episodes? What's going on, dog? No, that's just how I'm looking into the crystal ball, seeing things play out. So to see this week that BK Rhythm and Glitch the Gamer teamed up, I was, you know, your man was on cloud nine. Okay, I was definitely on cloud nine. I looked at this match and I said, you know, if Kandi Krush isn't careful, this could be a situation where, man, BK Rhythm could finally get a W there in her column. Because ever since we were properly introduced to BK Rhythm, she has lost every single freaking match. And I love the weight of the world. I love the physically Kandi Krush was there mindset. But like mentally she was just checked out. She just wasn't there. And I loved how the commentators did a fantastic job on jumping on her body language and all of that. It was on point. And it paid. It paid big time, because Kandi Krush, when it counted the most, she lost this one. And you know what? I thought it was a smart move that they had BK Rhythm be the one to pin Kandi Krush to pick up the win for her and Glitch the Gamer, because again, all those matches that BK Rhythm had lost up to this point, right? Kita Rush handling her business was, I mean, she was showing her fury of offense, fury and flurry of offense. But Kandi Krush, the way she played it, and she played it beautifully, so detached from this match. It was obvious that this was the last thing on her mind, right down to the point when she was tagged, she was going in reluctantly. Oh yeah, well, I guess I gotta do this damn thing, whatever, right? She was not there. So looking into the crystal ball a little bit further here as far as what to predict, because if you've been checking out my wild joints long enough now for these past couple of years, I have been almost dead accurate as far as, okay, I'm expecting, look out for this to happen as far as the story arc goes and everything. Looking into the crystal ball, I would not be that surprised if Kita Rush has a strong word or two with Kandi Krush and says to her, hey, look, we can't keep doing this. We're not going to be a tag team. We're not going to be able to function as a cohesive unit with your head in the clouds. Look, I'm sorry of what went down with the gloves. I have apologized profusely. I tried to offer you some type of a peace offering. I've tried to do any and everything to let you know how much I am truly sorry about what went down. But man, you're making this so hard. And as a result, there's just no way we're going to be able to thrive as a team. So you know what? Either you get your shit in check, or maybe we just need to. Either Kita Rush is going to go with an ultimatum on Krush, or she's just going to say, you know what, obviously your head, your heart is not really into this whole tag team thing anymore. So I'm just going to see myself out. You know, I'm really, really sorry I let you down and everything. And I can almost see one of those two scenarios go down. I'm hoping for the latter. You know, I don't really want to see Kita Rush be a ultimatum type of person. I would rather it goes, hey, I'm just going to remove myself, because it's obvious every time you look at me, it's obvious what's being conjured up and everything. So, and we're just not clicking anymore. Seemed like it was promising, but I'll show myself the door. Now, let's go back to Kandi Krush for a second. Because remember what I had said earlier about Kandi Krush beating the crap out of Chainsaw and everything. Well, let's rewind it back. So, one of the times that we saw Kandi Krush roaming around the arena there, she came across Chainsaw. And she wasn't sure what the hell Chainsaw was doing, but Chainsaw was busy with her chainsaw destroying something. Krush didn't know if it was a human, some cattle, what. She just showed herself out. Okay? Later on, I believe it came right before, yeah, it happened right before we saw the main event match, which we already kind of talked about, but didn't. That triple threat tag match. We see Chainsaw pop up in Kandi Krush's locker room and say, hey, Krush, looking for these. And she tosses destroyed gloves. I mean, these things were mauled. It looked like maybe a couple of puppies were just left in a room, and they had those gloves, and they went to town on those bad boys, because them joints got messed up. big time. They got messed up big time. And Kandi Krush just lets out a big old howl. I mean, she's crying and everything. So now the question, did Chainsaw actually destroy those gloves, or did Chainsaw happen to find the gloves and she was just being a heelish dick, returning the gloves to Kandi Krush? Inquiring minds want to know there. Inquiring minds want to know. Because let's just say, for the sake of the argument, Chainsaw did destroy those gloves. Then it becomes, well, who actually put Chainsaw up to do it? Yo, I still gotta go with my girl Steffi Slays, because it's all about who would benefit the most. You always got to look at it that way. Who would benefit most out of seeing Keita Rush not continue to have a thriving tag team relationship with Kandi Krush there, with Kandi Krush and Keita Rush? Who would benefit the most out of seeing them break up? It would be Steffi Slays. So I have a feeling that we're going to get a Steffi Slays that is, because we were introduced to somewhat of a, Steffi, you all right, girl? You kind of seem like you got a little bit of a screw loose there. You kind of seem a little possessive there. She kind of reminded me a little bit of my girl. I gotta make sure I use clean language on this one here, because I know when it comes to WoW, you know, usually people of all ages, especially the younger cats, they check every, you know, they check out WoW talk and all of that, right? But for my older cats, she reminded me of that scene in 2001's Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. And remember the joint with Cameron Diaz? Just remember what happened when they were in the car. Cameron Diaz, Julie characters, just started going over all the things that she did for Tom Cruise's David Amos character. You remember that? If you remember that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, just think Steffi Slays. Steffi Slays kind of seemed like she was going a little, woo, all over the place there. A little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs there. A little too much for my liking there. But I still believe, in all seriousness, I believe that Steffi Slays is the one that would benefit the most from that. So, but to the point I had mentioned earlier, we did see Kandi Krush interfere, you know, in that main event match where she was beating the crap out of Chainsaw. And as a result of that little distraction, referee not getting a handle of things and everything, that pretty much had left Holidead to fight for herself. And remember, the way this match was designed, whoever the losing team was, whoever that team was that would get pinned or submitted, they would be eliminated. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They'd be eliminated, and the two remaining teams would go on to face each other in the tag team tournament finals. One more match to crown new WoW Tag Champions. And Tonga Twins were able to take advantage of that handicap that was going on there with Holidead and everything. They were kind of shocked by it, but you know what? A win is a win. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be seeing the Tonga Twins take on Miami Sweet Heat. You know, for the longest time, I was calling them Sweet Miami Heat. I'm bad. I know, I'm bad. But Miami Sweet Heat. 2 weeks' time, we're going to be seeing them go at it. You know, wow, they did a really good job. David McLean and crew this week, they did a really good job in giving you the history rundown of the WoW Tag titles. And I had greatly appreciated it. As they had told you about when the titles were created. They went over the first WoW Tag Champions, which was Caged Heat, And I loved Cage Heat from back in the day. I love how they kind of had almost the Goldberg thing going on. They were in their little penitentiary cells, and whoever the guard was on duty would basically knock on their freaking cell doors. All right, girls, get yourself ready. You got a match, right? They let them out to go do their thing and all that. And they had became the inaugural champions. And then remember, they had such a long dominant reign as the Wild Tag champions, but ultimately they would get dethroned by the American Sweethearts in Amber O'Neal and Santana Garrett. Shout out if you remember all of this that's going on. And as we all know, that pairing of Amber O'Neal, the Bullet Babe, Amber O'Neal, and Santana Garrett, it would not last that long because Lana Starr got her grubby little hands on Amber, and we saw the ultimate betrayal that went down where Amber O'Neal turned on Santana, and in the process, Caged Heat got the tag titles right back. And, obviously from there, they fast forward a little bit and we saw Adrenaline, Diamante, and Fire, who you all know better as Kiera Hogan. They would go on, win the tag titles. We saw the Dixie Darlings, Jolene and Jolene, under the guidance of Jesse Jones. They would go on, become the tag champions, and now, right, we're getting ready to crown some new tag champions once again. We're just touching upon Jesse Jones. Jesse Jones made an appearance on this episode, and she made a save, a huge save. And honestly, I did not expect it to happen. I honestly did not expect it to happen, but we had saw Commander Spars in action against, who was it? The Disciplinarian. Okay match for what it was worth. For me, it was a little bit too short. I like the fact that they had the young Commander Spars pick up a win from out of nowhere on Disciplinarian, basically winning with an out of nowhere roll up, schoolboy roll up there. It was kind of botchy though. I gotta admit, it was a little bit sloppy, that roll up that they had her do. Right, it was a little. It could use some work. But post match, Disciplinarian, Samantha Smart, Ice Cold, because Ice Cold apparently has now joined forces with them and everything. They basically, post-match, beat the crap out of Commander Spars, and Jesse Jones came down there, cleaned house. She grabbed a microphone afterwards, and she said, hey, no matter how you may feel about me, and honestly, I don't care how any of y'all feel, we all can agree with one thing, though, that anybody that serves in the military, represents the United States of America, they should get our support, and I'll be damned if I see what just went down happen to Commander Spars there. So it looks like we're going to be getting a such an odd pairing here, but it looks like we're going to be getting a team here for the next little bit of Jesse Jones and Commander Spars taking it to Disciplinarian, Ice Cold, and Samantha Smart. So I'm not really sure how you guys feel about that. For me, it just really feels as though this season Jesse Jones has pretty much just been plug and play, primarily going in areas where, okay, let me continue working with these young up and comers. It just pretty much is coming off that way. She is just, I know some of you guys, because I've seen some of the comments off and on from some of these shows. Some of y'all are like, yo, she should be going for the Wild Women's Championship. Yo, she should be, going for the tag team titles. Yo, she should be doing this. Yo, she should be doing that. And, I'm sure that it's very flattering that, she hears these things. I know it was something that I did kind of touch upon with her in the interview I did with her. But, I just think at this point for Jesse Jones, it's just a matter of wherever she is best fit, wherever she is most needed, especially if it makes perfect sense and it will help advance a wrestler or a bunch of wrestlers, a story arc,
then means to an end. Then whatever it takes to go that route, then that's what's gonna go down. Wherever is whatever is best as far as her proper utilization goes. You feel where I'm coming from? So I thought that was kind of interesting there. We got a Beast update. So we saw some exclusive footage from when the Beast had went to the hospital. We also saw the aftermath of it as David McClane, was shooting some stuff with his cell phone, showing Beast with her left leg. Or was it her left leg? Or no, correction, it was her right leg in a cast, walking on crutches. And Beast was in street civilian clothes and had these nice, cute little frames on, with prescription glasses on. And she just pretty much said, hey, you haven't seen the last of me. I will be back. I'll be bigger. I'll be badder. I'll be stronger. This is just the beginning. You guys will see me again very soon. So, it was great seeing that footage because Lord knows I have missed me some Beast. I know a lot of women of wrestling fans have missed Beast as well. But I found it so interesting that Beast's status as the WoW World's Women's Champion was not addressed yet. So I really kind of going back to what I've been saying off and on these past several weeks, ever since we saw the injury at play go down. I really feel as though we're going to get a definitive answer to Beast's future as the WoW champion when we get the opportunity to see the second round of TV tapings. Because remember, what we're seeing right now, and now that we have 11 episodes in the book, we're going on episode 12. I have a feeling that maybe there is about anywhere from 5 to maybe 8 more episodes, give or take. I mean, if it runs a full 24, great. But I just have this gut feeling that we're going to get to a point where, okay, that is officially it for the first round of TV tapings that they had did over those course of the 3 days earlier in the summer. And remember, they had just got done recently doing a second round of TV tapings. I feel that second round of TV tapings is where we're really going to find out what is going on with Beast as champion. Did they have to go the interim route and appoint somebody as a temporary champion in her place? Or was it a case where they had to sadly strip her of the championship? Time is pretty much going to tell on that one. But, hey, it was nice to still get that update on Beast when it's all said and done. But pretty solid edition of episode 11 that they did of Wild Women of Wrestling for this week, I gotta say. For me, honestly, I am very curious to see where things are going to go here with Commander Spars and Jesse Jones. It's like, man, can you really trust Jesse Jones here, or does she have some type of other motive here for getting involved in the picture here, right? Is there a part of her that maybe envies Commander Spars? Or because if you were to tell me that eventually we're going to see Commander Spars and Jesse Jones face off, I would say, well, that would be kind of interesting. I think that would actually be a pretty good back and forth between those girls. But if they're legit going to be a tag team, no strings attached, no shenanigans is going to be going down, well, then I say, well, you know what? Let's see what happens. I think they definitely are going to be feuding with the right people when it's all said and done. So that's it for that. That's it for WoW Women of Wrestling, episode 11 for this week. Now, as far as Women of Wrestling news goes, not too much went down since last we were on the air. A little bit of news had developed. For instance, Giselle Shaw. She's been doing her thing down there at Impact Wrestling. She had recently commented to the good folks over there at Fightful about her time in Wild Women of Wrestling, and if she's been checking out the relaunch. Shout out to them for the part of the transcript. She said, I've always wrestled without a mask, and at the time they needed someone who could do the lucha stuff. Not that I was lucha, but they were like, you can do high flying stuff. Here's a mask. It was really cool. And then the producers were like, "Why are you under a mask?" That's what they needed. Cool. Next season, we're going to take the mask off. Really cool experience. Loved it. However, it is very hard to wrestle under a mask because your vision is obstructed and your breathing is affected as well. I love to wrestle without the mask. And then when she was asked if she's watched the show since its return, I thought this was kind of interesting here. And I really wish there would have been a follow up, but she said, "I haven't. I see it on my social media here and there. I want the best for them, and every person should be supportive of women's wrestling, and they are trying to do something positive. I wish them the best." I would have followed up and said, did they even try to touch base with you for the new season? Were you interested at all? Had the situation presented itself? Would you have taken them up on helping out with the new season? I'm very curious what her response to that would have been, because it just kind of seems. Hopefully, I'm not reading too much into it, but hopefully, you guys are kind of getting the same vibe I'm getting, which is, man, that kind of seems like a icy cold reception there to Wild Women of Wrestling. So, kind of, Remember the last go round we were on the air for WoW? I was telling you guys that there was some type of a Jungle Girl charity event. Well, some more information had came about of that event, and it turns out Jungle Girl had hosted a inaugural Wrestling with Cancer charity event in her hometown of Richmond, Virginia. It was back on November 5th. Had I known, I definitely would have attended. I definitely would have attended that. The event was later followed up by a charity dinner, which featured other wild superheroes at the Hardywood Brewery for a 45-minute group bodyweight workout that featured some of the wild superheroes along with over 100 cancer warriors, survivors, and family and friends. Such a really cool event. So that just that just puts a big old smile on my face to hear that they had did that, and it was for such a worthy cause. I really, if I would have known, I definitely would have used my media credentials, properly touch base and cover it, because Richmond, Virginia isn't that far away from me. It's not that much of a significant hike, but I definitely would have taken advantage of that. One other thing that I thought was pretty noteworthy that you guys may go, woo, for what it's worth, she would have been a damn good fit. Fightful, in their select report, mentions that there was an attempt to try to sign Ruby Soho to Wild Women of Wrestling soon as she was released from WWE. As you all remember, June of last year, they sent out, that is, some fillers to Soho shortly after her WWE release. Now, Fightful did note that it's unknown if Soho had any actual talks with the people at WoW following her WWE exit. However, the company was reportedly told quickly that Soho was not taking any bookings whatsoever. And this had led, of course, many to believe that maybe she was going to be doing some stuff with AEW. And as we eventually saw, everything had materialized to be so, that she was, in fact, doing something with AEW and everything. So there's also a report that supposedly, WoW had tried to attempt bringing in the Inspiration, aka the Iconics, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay. However, as you all know, they ultimately signed with Impact Wrestling. So if in fact these reports are true, wow, David McLean, AJ Brooks, they would have done pretty well, pretty damn well with those girls in WoW. Ruby, you definitely could have pushed to the fucking top. You definitely could have. You could have definitely had her chasing after the Beast for the championship. No doubt about that. The Iconics, you could have easily, oh my God, you could have easily built your whole tag division around them, culminating in them even becoming your new Wild Tag champions and everything. So, that would have actually worked. That would have actually worked on WoW Women of Wrestling, I personally feel. So, you got to remember too, part of what David McLean's WoW Women of Wrestling is at times, it can be cheesy, it can be over the top, it can be outlandish. So these women definitely would have fit that mold quite well. I personally feel. I think they would have fit that world perfectly well. It's kind of interesting because they've kind of toned down a little bit on the cheesiness. It's not over cheesy. It's not. Oh my God, that's too cheesy. Look, out of 100%, you could say previous seasons and all that. You could probably say, oh my God, that's like 65-70% cheesy, but now it's kind of like 30% cheesy here and there. The outlandish stuff can still, it's still kind of there within reason. Yeah, but I would imagine all of this, because if you really stop and think about it, it almost kind of aligns there with when everything had went down, the falling apart, when things fall apart there with Tessa Blanchard. So I honestly, if it's true, it doesn't surprise me. It does not surprise me whatsoever. But can you just imagine? Those would have been some great pickups. Those would have been some great pickups. If you disagree with that, let me know why. I'm curious what you guys have to say in regards to that. But to have those girls and WoW, and then have those girls in there, but then have them working with the newer girls, really getting them up to par, really tightening stuff up, right? Yeah. Yeah. Would have done some wonders. Definitely would have done some wonders. So that's pretty much it as far as WoW wrestling related news goes and everything. So look, one more time, quick programming note. So I'm going to be live with you guys Monday, October 28th. What I don't know right now is if that's going to be a regular edition of the RCWR show, or if we're going to maybe break away and just do fully the 11th anniversary show. I don't know how, or if we're going to fuse the two. So you guys really need to go on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab, cast your vote. Let me know how you want for me to approach programming, particularly for the 11th anniversary show. I know I'm going to be doing a show Monday night after Raw. I just don't know what kind of show it's going to be. Or as far as the 11th anniversary celebration, that just needs to be its own standalone show outside of what we normally do. So when you go on the communities tab, you're going to see a lot of options. Pick the one. I want you to look at it this way if you're just now tuning in. Pick the one that has you go, I know I will definitely be around, and I would like to represent when the show is live, as far as that 11th anniversary show. So look at it that way and cast your vote that way. And depending on the volume of votes that kick in, that'll pretty much have me figure out, as far as an announcement goes, if we're going to be, okay, it's going down Monday, or no, it's going to go down Tuesday, or no, it's going to, right? So I'll have a better idea what you guys are saying come probably tomorrow afternoon, because I did just put that poll up maybe about 2-3 hours ago. So still got some early votes coming in. But in the meantime, be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, you enjoyed the talk of WoW, Women of Wrestling, if you are a supporter of all things women's wrestling, definitely represent and, hit the like, share this throughout the community. It helps out a great ton. I see that a lot of people are still sleeping on WoW Women of Wrestling, and we've been covering them for minus what was going on with COVID, if you add it all up, we've been covering them for what feels like over 2 years now. We've been covering them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually 3, but we've covered them definitely a couple of years now. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Use the keywords the RCWR show. That Facebook been blowing up, by the way. We finally surpassed 13,000 followers. We're just a couple of heads away from hitting 6,000 likes on our Facebook page. So definitely, if you got the Facebook, show that some love as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, good kind people, and I will see you next go round. Y'all take care.